Hi, everyone. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us March 3rd, 2021. We're doing our Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific live show that we do every Wednesday for a year now, or if not longer, since the pandemic started, taking your immigration questions for general knowledge, education kind of stuff, and trying our best to give some answers, some guidance, and some, just general ideas of how this U.S. immigration system works. I know it's really complicated, and a lot of people have problems with it. That's what we're here for. Now, President Biden has come, and people are happy about that. And there's talk about immigration changes, but in reality, nothing really practically has happened that should make a difference in anyone's case. Even though they've made some big stuff, they said they announced some stuff, and one or two proclamations, executive orders are done. Those don't practically affect that many cases. So the reality is everything is still the same as it was during President Trump for the most part. But we have hope that things are going to get better. So please send us your questions right now so we get started. All right, everybody. So as the questions start trickling in, we're live here on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, and all these different channels. Post your questions, and we'll answer them as they come. The reality, again, I said, is the immigration system is not really that reliable. So thank you for everyone who's reaching out. Hi, Sirius, good to see you. Thanks for coming on TikTok. But we're going to see what happens. Now, I have consultations and talks every day with different people, and I was having a talk with someone today who had their case put on hold and what's called administrative processing, which is called a refusal, denial. And now the embassy mistakenly said this was a K-1 fiance case. And they said, you know what, the travel ban affects you. We're not going to continue your case. And they've been on hold for 6 months. So it was one of the viewers on YouTube, and they contacted me, and I said, no, they're completely wrong. K-1 visa fiancés were never subject to any of the bans as long as you're not in China, Iran, Brazil, Europe, UK, Ireland, those countries, now South Africa. But other countries, it was not a problem. So they were in India, and the embassy there made a mistake. So I've seen that mistake happen in Pakistan. I've seen that mistake happen in all parts of South America, in Oceania area. So this is like a constant thing. And at the time when the proclamations happened, for people who were my clients, I quickly emailed the embassy and said, no, it's a mistake. Proclamation does not apply to a K-1 fiancé visa in your country. A person's visited there, and we were able to fix it up. And unfortunately, this one took 6 months, and now we're trying to fix it up. Hopefully, it'll happen soon. So we got a question. Official Rajan says, is the green card spouse interview banned? Well, it's not banned per se. It kind of is the same thing as a fiancé visa. First of all, the COVID-19, one of the bans for COVID-19, immigrant visa ban, that was changed. So spouses of green card holders were banned essentially from having their interviews, but that has changed. That's opened up unless you are in China, visited China, Iran, Brazil, Europe, and those kind of places. However, a lot of the embassies are either closed or are partially staffed. So even though the ban on this is done, it doesn't mean that they're going to do an interview or get your case started immediately or anything like that. Practically speaking, no changes are going to happen for the immediate period. I've contacted a lot of embassies and say, hey, what's going on? As soon as the ban went away, we get auto responses that say we're not even handling cases, we're not processing cases. Now, if you really want to push the issue, you could file a lawsuit. And I've seen that I have cases where you file lawsuits and they were able to get the embassy interview. But barring that, they're kind of slowly moving towards things. It's not clear when it's actually going to open up. So our spousal green card case banned, practically speaking, yes, but legally, no. But even if it's legally not banned, practically speaking, nothing's moving forward. So that's the situation that we're stuck in. Murray says, hi, thank you. Hi, thank you, and hi to you too. Siraj follows up, do you have any idea about the visa fee? When we pay visa fee, how long does it take for the I-130 to go to NBC? So there's a lot of different things you're asking there, but let's see, an I-130 is a petition for alien relative. This is when a U.S. person, a green card holder, citizen is applying for relative. Once the petition for alien relative, I-130 is approved in the United States and that relative is overseas, the case is transferred to the National Visa Center, the NVC. That could take anywhere from 1 day to 3 months, anywhere in between or longer. If it goes more than a month and a half, I would contact the National Visa Center. Once it's transferred, you can start the process of consular processing for a green card case, an immigrant visa case. And the fee for it depends on what kind of case it is, but typically a family-based case, it's $445 for one person. That includes the affidavit of support fees and the green card and the visa fees for civil documents, whatever. So it's $445 there. You also got other fees. You got medical checkup. You have police certificates. You may have translations and other kind of stuff. And then once you do your interview and your immigrant visa is approved, then you have to spend an additional $220 to have the visa, the green card printed. So once you come in the United States, you can have a green card. So there's a lot of different fees. We kind of have to see what's going on in your specific case, see anything different. This is general guidance, but I hope that information helped. Alrighty, guys. Hi, John. Here's my question. How can someone expedite their I-765? Well, one of my clients did expedite on their own actually this week. If you have a good reason to have an expedite, you contact USCIS and let them know, hey, I need this work permit for my I-765 to be expedited, and you send them evidence of your reason to have proof that you need expedite, what the emergency or urgency of it is, and they may approve it and they may not. Now, we have a lot of questions asking about timelines. When is this going to happen? When is that going to happen? You could check out USCIS.gov for USCIS timelines, but the reality is there's no official real timelines. Cases take all sorts of stuff. I had a marriage green card case, the I-130 petition approved in 3 months. I was shocked. And I have one that took, a year and a half for a marriage to U.S. citizen. There's no consistency in this, so I have no way of giving you a timeline. So please don't ask me about timelines and when the embassy is going to open and all that kind of stuff. I don't have an answer, and frankly, there is no real answer to that. Official Rod says, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you so much as well for your question. Neil Patel says, why conditions removal is moving so slowly? So when you are married and you get a green card like that, and the green card is relatively new, after 2 years, you have to file for removal of conditions. And removal of conditions, Form I-751 has for the last 5 or 6 years taken forever. Why is it? Because USCIS does not give it a priority. In their opinion, a person that's filed for removal of conditions has a green card, they had a work permit, they could request evidence of residency, they could travel. So they say, of all this stuff we need to do, you have the lowest priority, which is, I think, incorrect, but nonetheless, what I think doesn't matter. It's what they want to do. Unless you want to file lawsuits or go to court or to contact Congress people, do what you got to do. So they don't give that much attention to Form I-751 on removal conditions. And that's why on average, these cases take 18 months. I have them done a year, I have them done 2 years, but on average, 18 months. I've seen it longer than 2 years as well. I've got a couple done in 10 or 11 months recently, but that's not a consistent thing. I wouldn't say expect that. We just got lucky. But that's the situation for I-751. USCIS does not see it as a priority. The reason why I know is there's a report called the Ombudsman's Report. Every 2 years or so, they release it. I was reading it. I have a different channel called the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox. I was analyzing the Ombudsman's Report for other lawyers. If you listen to that, it's a long, hour-long thing. It's technical. I'm not sure you'll find it fun or interesting. But if you listen to that, I cite a page where the Ombudsman interviewing USCIS, and USCIS told them we have naturalization as a priority. And so, because that's important, but we don't have removal conditions as a priority, and that's why that takes longer. Chanji asks, I'm a principal applicant with H-1B, dependent H-1B, but lives in different state due to job. Is it a problem for I-485 interview? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I have to see what you said in the case about your addresses, the situation, and what other evidence of your relationship we have. It's not necessarily a problem, but I need to see the whole situation of what you're claiming in your paperwork and how to show the relationship, all this kind of stuff. So I'd have to review your case in private. I can't give you general guidance or specific guidance to help you in your case here. All right, next question, J. Anthony asks, can green card holders stuck outside the U.S. for more than 1 year due to COVID come back? You're welcome, Neil Patel. This question about people being absent from the U.S. and wanting to come back is a serious one. If you're outside the United States for more than 1 year, you could be considered to abandon your green card and potentially have your green card taken away. Typically, if the green card is still valid, I normally recommend clients just fly back to the United States as soon as possible. That's on a case-by-case basis. I can't give you that advice here because I don't know the people watching this, but this is, if I have an individual client, we're talking, usually that's the place I come out to. Or if needed, you can file for an SB1 visa, a returning resident visa. Again, I don't like doing that, but sometimes we have to do that. Now, one thing that's popped up is some airlines will call and check your travel history. And if you've been outside for more than 1 year, they won't let you on the plane. I think that's crazy. You should try contact a different airline, but that problem does come up. It is possible. All people come all the time when they're outside for more than 1 year, especially under circumstances of COVID. But it really depends on which airline you're dealing with, which immigration officer you're dealing with, what your total life history is. Have you been frequently outside for more than a year, or just that you got stuck? What proof we have of evidence? And that's why case-by-case analysis is required for this kind of stuff. I can't just say carte blanche, a blanket statement that it's okay. Under circumstances, and generally they're usually not too strict, but it always depends on the specific case and the specific officer that you're dealing with. Vanessa Waters asked, the green card for parents is banned. My family lives in Brazil. So the green card for parents is not banned by itself. What's it called? President Biden removed that, but as I talked about earlier in the program, practically speaking, those are not really moving forward yet. However, there's specific countries where if you had visited recently, they will not issue a visa unless you file a lawsuit, and Brazil is one of them. So you can start the process for your parents. Let's say you're a U.S. citizen, you want your parents who are Brazilian to come to the United States. You can file the I-130, and I do Brazilian parent cases all the time. It's one of the main countries I deal with. But you file the I-130, and they're all from, what is it called? Not Rio. What's the other called? Just the name escapes me. But everyone from Brazil seems to be from one country because all my clients are from there. But not Rio, the other country that's a bigger population. But nonetheless, you get the I-130 approved, then we have to wait for the embassy portion. So if you haven't started yet, you might as well do that now, because by the time the embassy portion for your case will start, called consular processing, the technical term, your parents will probably, the travel bans will hopefully be done, because COVID will be done at that point by next year. But they may not have an interview scheduled because they won't issue a visa to a person that's recently been in Brazil. And so we have to deal with that headache. But you might as well start now, and then wait for the embassy portion when it gets ready, when that ban is lifted. Nana Coffee asks, my husband's waiting for his visa interview and he's in USA. Can he get a temporary social security number or work permit? When you say a visa interview, that means they're doing their interview overseas. If they're in the United States temporarily right now, they're probably on a tourist visa. Now, notice I'm making a lot of assumptions here. That's why I can't answer your question. There's just not enough information. But just with a tourist visa in the United States, you cannot apply for a social security number, and you can't apply for a work permit. So that's not going to work. But schedule a private consultation. There may be more here because I'm making assumptions. I want to know what the facts are, and we can discuss that. My email is info@jqklaw.com. And in general, for those doing marriage green card cases, I have an awesome guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, a no-cost ebook. Just go to www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com, marriageimmigrationlaw.com, and download the guide that's going to really break down the entire process so you get a strategy and idea breakdown of how the marriage green card process and fiance green card process works. I have examples of questions they may ask you. I have translation certificate samples. It's the ultimate thing. You're gonna be, wow, this guy's giving it for free. This should be like $50, but he's getting it for free. You'll be that surprised. I stick by it. So please check out the guide, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. All right. So Flavio asks, if a green card holder marries a non-green card holder in or outside the U.S., will the spouse be able to apply for a green card also? I mean, maybe, probably, yeah, but I need to know more information about the relationship, the financial condition of both parties, the backgrounds of both parties. But generally, a green card holder can apply for their spouse, whether they're inside or outside the United States. But the rules change depending on each month. Depends on the person's background. Generally, yes, Flavio, it can. But, first of all, download the Marriage Green Card Guide. It goes into a lot of the issues that might pop up, so you'll see what I'm talking about. And then schedule a consultation so we can review your specific case to see what's going on, if there's any red flags or issues that could prevent you and your case from getting the green card. But again, a green card holder can apply for a spouse. I do these cases regularly. I'm about to file one probably tomorrow. The person is not here on a student visa. They fell in love with the green card holder, and now they're going to apply for a green card. It works. But there's timelines to this. There's situations that could prevent that. We really got to get down to business about what's going on specifically in your case. Jen asks, hi, I'm in the U.S. My kids are not. Can my U.S. spouse still file for us together at the same time? They can start the process at the same time, but if you're here, your process will happen in one scale in the United States, and then the kids will happen separately. So it's possible, but they're not all going to get the green cards at the same time. So that's something we got to sit and talk about, see what the situation in your case is, why this happened, how to time it, because you're going to be separated from, if you're in the United States and your U.S. citizen spouse applies for you, you cannot leave the United States until you get your special travel permission. And that means you're going to be stuck away from your kids for maybe 6 months, 9 months, a year. And, I don't want you to do that. So we really got to plan to see what's appropriate for your family. And that's why, first of all, download the Marriage Green Card, Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at www.marriageimmigrationlaw.com to get a better understanding of what's going on. Let's schedule a private consultation. Gonzalo asks, VAWA, Violence Against Women's Act, while on removal proceeding, who am I going to be interviewed by judge or USS official? Gonzalo, I don't handle VAWA cases. They probably both would interview you, but I don't handle Violence Against Women's Act cases, so I'm not a good resource for that. Just email me and I can connect you with a colleague to have a consultation with them about your questions. But if you're in removal proceedings, you should already have a lawyer. It's not good to be in immigration court and deportation and not have an attorney. J. Anthony says, thank you, you're welcome. By Kulpathek asks, how long can an advanced parole holder with work permit stay outside the U.S.? Somebody says only 3 months. Is it true? If you have advanced parole, there's no time limit per se of how long you could be outside the United States. You just have to be back before the advanced parole expires. So if you have 9 months of parole, there's no residency requirement timelines on advanced parole. It's just you got to be back before it expires. And then there's a question of, let's say, how did you get advance parole in the first place? Was it based on marriage? They make questions and say, hey, how come you've been away from your spouse for 9 months? That doesn't make sense, because say, well, I need to work. I had a family situation back home. There's all these different reasons. You have to have a reason. And that's why we kind of get into it, just in case they want to question you. But there is no timeline on advance parole other than the period of time granted on the advance parole permission, either the sheet they gave you or the EAD permit that has it. Jasveer Singh asks, can I have a 601 waiver pending and apply for a U visa? They're completely different things. You can do both. So they're unrelated. You could have two benefit requests at the same time, both the U visa, I-601A. But if you have a waiver case and a U visa case, you probably should have a lawyer. So your lawyer would be able to answer all this stuff in private. Nano Coffee, you're welcome. Thanks for saying thank you. Tony Mann asks, I'm going for my naturalization tomorrow. Any advice on dressing? Yeah, dress good. It's a big deal. Why not? There's some pictures and all that kind of stuff. Always good to dress well. Now we have questions again about how long things are going to take. I have to remind you, I don't have answers about timelines. There's no way for me to know each individually what's going on in your case, how USCIS wants to handle your case. They're super inconsistent. Some offices are closed, some are open. There's just too many variables here. And if I knew all the variables, USCIS is way too inconsistent. The embassy system is way too inconsistent for me to come here to be able to give you a timeline about something like that. If you want to schedule a private consultation, we spent 20 minutes talking about it so I can explain what things are and what estimates are, but they could be completely wrong. So I don't want you to just rely on some number, this and that. There are no real timelines for this kind of stuff. But have a lawyer with you. If they seem like they're out of control long, it's taking too long, then maybe you file a complaint or follow up. But generally, this isn't something that could be really answered. Mishbishi asks, my friend is charged with felony. Can he file for citizenship after dismissal? Mishbishi, being charged with a felony is such a serious thing. I can't just answer that. You have to know the whole situation involved with the felony, how it's canceled. If it's dismissed and it was an error and they're completely clean of it, then probably, yeah. But this is just too crazy of a question to ask in a public forum like this. I need to talk to your friend to see what happened. A felony is a very serious thing. So just be charged and dropped. There's more to the picture I need to know. What admissions are given, what's in the police report, what's the past of that person. Typically, the person's been charged with felony. They've probably done other crimes too. So it's just not something that can be answered here. Really got to sit and talk in private to see what happened. And it's with that person too, not with yourself, with that person. Jenks Kabul asks, can I file my I-130 first and file for the work permit after? The work permit can only be filed once you file for I-485. So I-130 is completely unrelated to the work permit. It does not lead to a work permit by itself. So you can file your I-130 whenever you want. It's when you file your adjustment of status from I-485 is when you could file a work permit request. And it doesn't make sense for you not to file it with it. I don't know a scenario what I can't say I guarantee 100%. But yeah, when you file for adjustment of status, you generally want to file for work permit too. There's some nuanced cases you might not want to because you've had a previous work permit. It goes into some technicalities. This is just general education, so I'm not going to jump down that rabbit hole. But yeah, your question, Jen, is kind of off because you can't get a work permit based on I-130. They're completely unrelated. So there might be more to it, what your question is. So we'll see what's happening about that. Just in general, the immigration situation is complicated because, listen, you want to file for a green card in the United States, you got to file I-130, maybe I-130A, I-485, I-131, I-765, I-864, I-944. You might want to throw a G-1145 there to get you get communications. You might have a the credit card application. I don't pay immigration fees by credit card. I've had those not go through and mistakes by USCIS, so I always send a check. But there's just so many forms. You might have 245I, you need I-485A. You might be employment based, and I-485J, which is I-140 based. Yeah, as you can see, these numbers are jump around the place. So that's what makes it really hard to be answered these kind of things without having a full sit down. But if you are doing a family-based case, especially marriage case, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide has a good breakdown of how these forms go together and work together. Even if you're not doing a marriage case, if you're doing a family case in general, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com should be able to answer and guide you in a lot of these things as to how it all works. So that's immigration in a nutshell. Thank you so much. We have some more questions popping up. Let me know. Shakir asks, can you change your date of birth on a birth certificate due to error? Shakir, that is a generalized question. Depends on where your birth is and where you've already claimed that date of birth. So, for example, if you haven't started any immigration work, you go back to your home country and correct it. That's possible. But once you get started, let's say you got a green card based on your birth certificate as the error, and then you want to change it. Then the question comes, well, why didn't you tell us it sooner? And then there's fraud question might emerge. So it gets really, really messy. If you have a birth certificate date issue, you want to fix that up before starting any immigration work. If it's already started, then there becomes problems fixing it. It could lead to potential accusations of fraud or lying. So we got to see why that was. And then also, if you have a birth certificate issued corrected way past the time you're born, sometimes they'll come back and say, well, why is this registration date for your birth certificate so far from the time you're born? We may not accept it. It gets super messy, and it depends on the country you're from and all these different factors. It's not a good situation. Hopefully you had that fixed up early. Angel asks, my friend's I-130 application was approved in the month, and they did not apply for expedite request. Yeah, I mean, that happens. I just had an I-130 marriage case approved in 3 months. I had one back in like 7 years ago approved in like 6 weeks. That's the inconsistency of it. You know, I-130 approved in a month. Don't expect it to happen. I have tons of more I-130s for spouses taking, 10, 11 months for U.S. citizen marriage cases. I have green card marriage cases that are taking 16, 18 months. So it's just so inconsistent that when people ask me, how long does this take? I can't give a serious answer because, I'll say one thing and it comes out different. Then you'll say, oh, John was lying. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Go to uscis.gov. They have timelines there. None of it is reliable. Each case is different. It can't be compared. I also ask, can I be a state citizen because it's illegal in my home country to be a dual citizen? Well, U.S. Does not have any issue with dual citizenship, so you could be a U.S. citizen, a citizen of any other country, but other countries may not allow it. So I've done videos on this with regards to if you're from China, you're from India, Japan, Germany. These countries do not allow dual citizenship. So once you become a U.S. citizen, you lose that citizenship. You got to find a workaround or whatever that country system has. India has some sort of special residency, old resident, previous residence, previous citizen program. You got to find out what that is. But that's a situation. So you got to make a choice. You want to be a U.S. citizen or keep your old citizenship with a green card? It's a personal decision that you're going to have to make. Murray asks, if a SIV, a special immigrant visa applicant, passed away before the approval, will the wife and underage kids be eligible? Well, Marie, first of all, I don't handle those kind of cases often. Usually, if a principal applicant passed away, the relatives can't get anything, but there may be exceptional circumstances in this particular case, depending on what kind of visa, what the things are, and maybe they can, but it's not my specialty. It's not the kind of case I handle, so I would defer to someone else. But generally, if a principal applicant passes away, the family members, the derivatives also lose their chance at it, but I don't want to give a specific one to that. No asks, is triple citizenship allowed in the United States? So we had the question about dual citizenship. Is triple citizenship allowed? Yes, there are people who are like Australian, English, Canadian, and U.S. citizens. Now, there are some regulations that could be interpreted as not allowing that, but the U.S., from my knowledge, has never hassled anyone about having dual, triple, or quadruple citizenship. So it has been an issue. So, I've triple citizenship, I've seen a lot. So I haven't had any worries, but you never know. They can always change the rules tomorrow. And Babikens asked, what about a drug case and got deported without doing time? And like these are wild questions you're asking. I mean, it's like drug case. Yeah, I don't know. You have to schedule a consultation in private. Usually when there's drugs involved with immigration, there's nothing you could do. Very rarely. It's a very serious offense that leads to bans. But we got to see what the situation is. Schedule a consultation with attorney in private. It's not the kind of case I handle. People have drug history, but contact a lawyer in private. But it's not something that could be answered here. And Jolie asks, good night. Are you aware of backlog of notice, receipt, and status? I-130 processing times beginning Dallas location. Thanks. In general, all the USCIS is having massive, I can't just add 10 more massive backlogs and delays with reissuing receipts. I mean, it was taking 1 month and 2 and 3. There's like 4 or 5 months delays sometimes in getting receipts, not just at the Texas Service Center, but in all of them. And so if you submitted a case, you not get a response. Historically, if you didn't get a response back within a month, that meant that you sent it to the wrong place. It was lost or some issue is going to get rejected. Now, all those considerations are still there, but most likely USCIS is just super delayed. So you really want to have tracking for mail to make sure they receive that at least. But then you got to wait 3, 4, 5 months to get a receipt. It's wild. It's crazy. It creates all sorts of problems for all sorts of cases. But that's the reality we're dealing with right now. They say, USCIS claims the delay is 1 month, which is just complete bogus. But they say it's because of COVID-19. They have less staff coming in. You have to have the 6 feet distance. So there's less people in the room getting the mail to process the initial case. And so that causes delays and all that sort. We have a question. Can you refer me to someone who does handle civ cases? I don't know. Email me and I'll see if I have a colleague that have consultation fees to prepare for that, $100, $200, $300 consultations. But if a consultation fee is okay with you, email me and I'll ask to see which one of my colleagues in the city you're in handle those kind of cases so you can have a consultation with them, Marie. Now, a reminder again about timelines. There's no way for me to answer that question. I don't know anything about you, and USCIS and the embassy system is really, really inconsistent. So as we were talking about earlier, we had an I-130 approved in 1 month. I had one move in 3 months, and I have a ton that are approved in 10 months. I have cases that go 2 years, 3 years for an interview that should really take 6 months to get an interview. It's so inconsistent that a realistic, rational answer cannot be given to a question about timelines or when the embassies are going to open, or when the embassies are going to schedule your appointment. It's not a realistic question at all. Anyone who gives a specific answer to that is not being genuine, in my opinion, because the reality is there's no answer. We give general estimates, okay, 6 months, 1 year, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and so don't hold me to it. And that's, if you want to answer that's not reliable, that's the answer. So that's that. And we have more questions. Citizenship timeline, please. There depends on what field office you're going to, what issues your case has. If there's COVID shutdowns, there's just too many variables with this question about timelines. So please, please, please don't ask about timelines. Sugar Love asks, how do you service people outside the United States? I live in Richmond, Canada. Half my clients are always outside of the United States. So we do video consultations. Everything's done by email for the most part. If needed, they'll mail me stuff. But nowadays, everything is done by email. You send me copies and stuff like that. So Sugar Love, it's really Canada. I handle Canadian cases all the time. Now, I've heard for delays, the embassy in Montreal for green card cases has been almost fully shut down for a long time. Just recently have they started scheduling interviews. And again, that goes to the timelines we can't answer because they'll slow down, they'll open up, COVID gets hit, they shut down, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I deal with Canadian cases. I deal with cases all across the world constantly on my case board. It's all there. So just send me an email first. We do a video consultation so I can figure out what's going on with your case, and then we take it from there. Moami sends me a bunch of likes. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Kind of you to do that. I appreciate it. And yeah, if you are watching wherever you are, please like and send some good love. And so the algorithm pushes this content more. If you're watching on YouTube, like it. On LinkedIn, on Facebook, press like so we get more attention here. King Moose says, are interviews started for National Visa Center? Well, the National Visa Center does not do interviews. The embassies do. And there's different embassies across the world, and embassies are differently staffed. They deal with COVID differently. Some are completely shut down. Some are not processing. Some are only doing marriage U.S. citizen cases. So the answer is, are they doing interviews at the embassies? For some they are, and for some they're not. And there's no way to know which ones they're going to choose until they choose it. And that means you just have to sit there and be patient, and that's about it. Mark Stone said, like, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So yeah, just send these likes. Everyone's watching, just like it on YouTube right now. Much appreciated. More questions we ask, more information I can get out. And then I put all these in clips. So it's not just this video. We have a different channel, Immigration Lawyer, what is it? JQK Immigration Clips. And we take these sound bites, these 2 or 3 minute answers, we put it there. It's accumulating to hundreds and hundreds of answers. So you have a library of videos you can go to for free to get the answers if you don't have them and you can't catch a live show. Just check out JK Immigration Clips and the JK Law Firm YouTube channels. There's tons and tons of hundreds and hundreds of videos between them. Hopefully get to 1,000 and 2,000 pretty soon, and we can answer that. Matador asks, can Biden change the consular process for U.S. citizen couples? I mean, to change the consular process is just such a wide question. It's like, what part of it? There's no real need to change the process for couples. So, I mean, that's just working out. So there's nothing that needs to change. Right now, COVID-19, there's a health scare. So yeah, you could tell them, screw it, you have to go to work. But it's an employment issue. It's like, do you want people to go to work? If there's a lot of COVID-19, they're scared or one person gets it. So that's the bigger issue. What I would like change, in particular with U.S. citizen cases, is twofold. If you are, I mean, it's hard to change this because they need more money and more bureaucracy, more employees to do it. But they should give more priority to spouse of U.S. citizen cases so they get done faster. So they need more money, more training, more funding. Okay, that's that. Secondly, technically you have to have Congress make up this rule, so it's an official law, but presidents make up laws all the time, so he could probably do it. President Biden could do it. Is this: if you're married to a U.S. citizen, you could get a tourist visa strictly to come to the U.S. to file for a green card. Right now, to do that, you're not allowed to come to the United States with the intent to file for a green card. So they should make it a rule that says, yeah, if you are married to a U.S. citizen, we'll give an exception. You can use a tourist visa to directly come to the United States to be with your spouse and apply for a green card here. Right now, technically, it's fraud if you use a tourist visa to come to get a green card in the United States. But if you are already married, I wish he would do that. That's something he probably could pull off. That's on my my goodie list that would happen. So U.S. citizen spouses are not staying separate for such a long period of time. It's a really nasty thing for that to happen. It's an interesting question, Matador. Thank you for asking that. So yes, he can change that. So what happened is, if you allow people to come on tourist visas when they're married to U.S. citizens to get a green card here, they'll just completely bypass the consular processing section that you're asking about. So it wouldn't be changing the consular processing. It would just be complete, just getting them out of the way. And that first thing I talked about, hiring more employees, well, that's in USCIS. So that's the I-130 to be approved faster. Or Trump got rid of this, allow direct filing of I-130s at international USCIS field offices or with the embassy. So we just bypass USCIS. The embassy has more staff. Hopefully they'll hire more. And you just do the whole process there, which could take half as much time as it used to when people file directly. There are requirements that forbid it for a lot of people. But there are ways to fix this. A lot of it has to do with more funding and more training and more employees. This is not an easy thing to do. And so it's very difficult to do. But the one thing he could probably on a short pen do, it's not technically, I'm a lawyer, and my legal opinion, the presidents have no authority to do any of this, most of this stuff. But presidents walk all over the Constitution and law all the time. So if you're going to be, careless about the law, then let's be careless like this. Just allow U.S. citizen spouses, their spouses, to get a tourist visa, come to the United States, and just file for a green card. So at least they're together waiting through the process. So that's my opinion on it. There's a hassle of delayed work permits. Once they're here, they're stuck. But that's about it. Really, last question I'm going to answer is what's going on in immigration reform? What's new? Well, it's a good thing to wrap it up at. They introduced this bill that's a U.S. Citizenship Act, supposed to create all these benefits, amnesty, DACA people, millions of people get status, eventually get citizenship, all that goodies kind of stuff. But it's not clear how it just started. It's not the law. Even if it was going to be law, it's not going to happen for some time. Even if it was passed after that sometime, it was going to take a long time to be able to hire that many people and train that many government employees to be able to even process these kind of numbers. So this is way outside realistically of when it's actually going to happen, even if it was approved today. But realistically, this bill is not going to pass Congress. There's too much people that don't like it, don't believe in it in Congress, in the Senate, that it's unlikely to pass in the format that is. So they start negotiating between themselves, take some stuff out, add some stuff. And then eventually something's going to come that looks completely different than the bill that was originally introduced. And when that happens, we'll know what's going on and what the rule is. But for now, anything that's in there is just politics. It's trying to say, look, we love immigrants, blah, blah, blah. But it's not necessarily what's going to happen. Whatever happens is not going to affect your life for some time now. For example, 6 months ago, they passed this law where if you spend extra money, $2,500, you can get your work permit within 30 days. Well, although they passed the law, it's been 6 months, the USCIS still has not implemented it. So although something becomes law, you can make all sorts of things and say, you have to do this, you have to do this. It's like if you're a parent and you have a kid and the kid's room is dirty and you say, I make a rule, you have to go and clean your room. And the kid says, okay, and just stands there. Say, no, you have to. I'm going to hit you or I'm going to pay you or whatever you're going to say. Kid said, okay. He picks up one shirt very slowly, puts it in a drawer, and there's 50 other shirts and magazines and books on the floor. Okay, you could pass as many laws as you want, but it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. And so that to happen, they need a lot of money, a lot of employees, a lot of training, a lot of mistakes are going to be made, a lot of errors. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight. So please, 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 if a lawyer tells you or anyone tells you, give me money, we have immigration reform happening right now, do not give money. Do not trust that person because it's just saying, yeah, everything's going to be good next year. Give me money now and I'll fix it for you 2 years from now. Who knows who's dead or is alive in 2 years, realistically. So the reality is it sounds interesting what Biden did. But if you're watching the whole video from the beginning, I said, practically speaking, there's been no real change at all with regards to immigration with President Biden here. But it's only been a month or 2 months. I got to give him some slack. It's hard to make things move that fast. But practically speaking, there haven't been any changes that will affect the vast majority of people who are connected with U.S. immigration. And with that, I want to thank everyone who joined. Matador, thank you so much for sending some love on TikTok. We'll be back again next Wednesday, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Take your immigration questions, general education stuff. In the meantime, download the Marriage Immigration Ultimate Guide, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And if you want to have a consultation, just email me at info@jqqlaw.com. The email you send is myself, and I'll answer you if I could. See what's going on in your case, describe what the situation is, and we'll take it from there. All right, everyone. Until next one, God bless, be safe. I'll catch you all next week. Bye-bye.